Right then boys, let's cut to the chase. What's the best pre-em to use this autumn?
I think the first thing to consider is what you're trying to control. Very rarely are we just trying to control one weed. There'll be a mixture of them. So I think first of all is what are you trying to control, and then look at the actives that you're going to use in your program. Obviously you can't use them all at once. The more you stack, the more likely it is for damage. So I think you've got to be sensible. But think of things like flufenicet, aclonophen, the sulfur carb, those sort of things as and when. Maximising is also a different mode of action. So that's a good addition as well in the program.
Anything to add on, Paul?
No, I think, like you said, target your weeds. Certain actives are better on certain weeds. They defy for sulfur carb, particularly good on your rye-grass. Maybe if you're stacking it, you might want to maybe put it back in a peri option. Just think about the crop. We don't want to do too much damage here.
So I think the base is, is Liberator. So flufenicet, DFF. I think that picks up a load of broadleaf weeds as well, which you need to take into account. Topping it up with Precluse, your aclonophen. Remember that has to go on pre-emergence, and then you've got early top-up sprays then, because we know the spring it can be a bit variable. So I think doing something in the autumn when you can. So things like alternator met, get some maximising in the program as an early follow-up. There's also a place for triolate as well. So triolate can fit on some certain weeds. There's some thought that it might sensitise weeds later on. So that's all we think, but then it bumps the cost of the program up as well.
Any thoughts on simethylene from what you've seen? Obviously as a new mode of action.
I think for me, it's a good product. I think it's probably more suited to ryegrass situations than blackgrass situations. And the other thing you've got to remember as well, it's got a wider window than aclonophen. So I think there's been some good results where people have done Liberator Precluse and then followed it with the simethylene type products, early post-stem and things like that. But it's certainly a good active. I think personally you shouldn't be just relying on one active, and I think that the pattern you should be trying to achieve is lots of different products, lots of different actives to mix it up a bit to try and beat that that resistance sort of battle that goes on.
Well, I think it fits with the story of mode of action, diversity, and rotating your chemistry year on year. One year you might use a flufenicet base, next you might use a metal. It's that resistance management.
And in terms of the big stacks, obviously crop effect is one thing that can be a bit of an issue. Any tips on trying to minimise any effect on the crop while maximising weed efficacy?
So I think it's first of all for me it's soil type. You're less likely to get issues on good soil. If you've got light stony ground, that's a red flag for me. I think timing between drilling date and application, if you can apply them closer to drilling, you're less likely to get issues. So leaving it just as it's about to pop through the ground, that's high risk to me. So I think about your soil type, try and get your application as close to a drilling as you can. Good firm seed beds and drilling depth as well. If it's shallow drilled, then again that's a red flag for me.
And a reminder, Jamie, what is our recommendation for
Seed depth?
Yeah.
I think about 3 centimetres depth. Any deeper is okay, but obviously not too deep. But the shallow depth is one you must avoid.
Yeah, and obviously the other one would be heavy rainfall after application. Yeah. If you want it to be an absolute high risk, it's light stony ground, it's just about to poke through, it absolutely chucks it down just after application.
One or two of which we have had this year.
Yeah.